All right, time for our monthly update with mayors from around the region. I'm joined this morning by Hamilton Mayor Andrea Horwath. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
It's a big week for the city. You've got your final vote on the budget, hopefully on Thursday, theoretically.
Fingers crossed.
You know, for the uneducated out there, the people who don't know about this process, how much effort goes into doing this, and what do you expect to see on Thursday?
Well, a lot of effort goes in, and we've actually changed the way we do the budget a little bit to get more involvement and engagement from the councillors, because there's a lot of new councillors around the table. And so it's been months and months in the coming. You folks might remember we started out with an outlook of 14.2%, and we've worked...
Property tax.
Yes, property tax increase. And so we've worked very hard to get that down. We were then at 7.9, and we've worked harder in the last couple of weeks. So Thursday's the big day. I don't have a final number yet, but it certainly is not going to be 7.9. But it's a tough time right now. We've got folks who are really struggling, of course. Things are really expensive for people, and I know that that's a problem. We also have pressures because the provincial government is not paying for the things they should be paying for, and they've made some changes around how we can collect dollars as well to help with our infrastructure, for example. So city budget itself, like the city pressures, we're down around 2%, a little over 2.6, but you add on the provincial pressures as well as housing and homelessness, and we're struggling with the number, but we know that the most important thing is that that people are having a challenge in terms of their finances, in terms of the cost of everyday life. And so we're going to do our best to balance the needs of the city with the, being thoughtful about people.
And of course, you bring up property tax right off the bat, which is an indication. It's where all of our minds are right now.
Absolutely.
You mentioned that 7.9 won't be the final. How much wiggle room do you think you had? Like, do you think it could come down a couple percentage points or not that much?
Well, it's interesting because there was an attempt to keep the city portion below 4, and we've done that. We have kept the city portion below 4, as I said, around 2.6. But the other two things, the provincial pressures and the housing piece, it's going to have an impact. So as I said, we haven't made those final decisions yet, but it's been a tough budget, I can tell you that, and that's why we're looking to the other orders of government to really think about cities and think about the fact that people live in cities, they live in communities, we deliver the frontline services, we need their help when it comes to the things that they should be taking care of.
In addition to property taxes, another big controversial issue recently has been the budget for the police force, or the police service, excuse me, here in Hamilton. I know there's going to be a special meeting this week of the Police Services Board. So for those who don't know, there was some confusion because some of the items within the police budget were not included in that final tally. It created some confusion last week. I'm wondering what the city's going to do going forward to try to avoid this situation in the future.
Well, that's a good question. I think that there was definitely some confusion around numbers that was cleared up. It didn't actually impact the final number, regardless, but that has, in terms of the impact on the city budget, right? Yeah. It's a matter of making sure that everybody understands the process and that there's allotted time to review the numbers. And there was a bit of a challenge in that regard this time around, just the way that the board was operating at the time, the Police Services Board. But we're meeting on Tuesday, tomorrow, and we are going to have a look at the budget which the city sent back. And I can't really speak too much on behalf of the board because we have a chair of the board that does that work. But it's one of the things I think people don't understand about the police budget is it's very little. We have very little control over it, quite frankly. I mean, we're required to provide funding for the police based on what they determine their needs are to meet the safety and the public safety imperative that they have as a police service. And so the chief has been looking over the numbers. The finance folks at the board are at the service have been doing that, and there are going to be changes coming to the way that the Police Service Board operates. That starts April 1st, and so we'll see what happens. It's still in the works. But
at a time of belt tightening, I understand what you're saying. Should the police service also be expected to tighten their belts?
Oh, no, there's no doubt. Everybody should be, and that's definitely the case. I mean, as it is with most public services, it's it's people power, right? So it's largely wage pressures and benefits, particularly WSIB and things like that, that push that budget. But there are also equipment needs and capital needs and all of those kinds of things, and those pieces all add up to an increase. I think it was. Oh, I'm not even going to say now because
I think it was $8 million, wasn't it?
the percentage was around 8, and so this is what has been sent back. So we'll see what the Police Services Board does on tomorrow, and then we're on to the final city budget on Thursday.
All right, Mayor Horvath, thanks for joining us. I know we'll all be watching closely this week to see what
Absolutely.
happens. Stay with us. We got more Morning Live right after the break.